Asya considered herself quite happy, though calling her life before marriage happy would be a stretch. When Asya was 8, her mother left her with her father and grandmother for another man. Asya vividly remembered that time because her father started drinking and taking out his frustrations on his daughter, blaming his mother, who lived with them. Grandma Alya cried, claiming she wasn't at fault, but this only made her father angrier and louder. He drank heavily, with binges sometimes lasting weeks. Eventually, he lost his job and drank even more frequently. 3 years later, her father passed away. 12-year-old Asya was left in her grandmother's care. Grandma Alya loved her granddaughter dearly and took care of her as best she could. A also loved her grandmother, her only close relative. After school, Asya wanted to move to the city to study, but then her grandmother fell ill, and she had to abandon her plans. Traveling from the village to the city daily was impractical and nearly impossible, as the bus ran infrequently. To avoid leaving her grandmother alone, Asya took a job as a postal worker, delivering newspapers and letters. 2 years later, her grandmother passed away, leaving Asya completely alone. Initially, she wanted to sell their old village house and move to the city permanently, but the house was in poor condition and practically worthless. Without much thought, Asya packed her things and headed to the city to pursue her education as planned. She was accepted without any issues and immediately secured a place in the dormitory. Asya studied diligently, eager to obtain a profession and see the world. As she had seen nothing beyond her village, this ambition led her to choose a fitting career, tourism manager. She hoped to work for a great travel agency and visit many cities and countries. Meanwhile, she focused on her studies. After graduating with honors, Asya started working at a small tourism company that offered trips across Russia, Turkey, Egypt, and former Soviet countries. Though not her dream job, Asya was content because, in 2 years, she had already visited several Russian cities and vacationed in Turkey. It was in Turkey that Asya met her future husband, Yevgeny. He was there for a 3-day holiday with a friend, but they returned together. Yevgeny and A. Their relationship progressed rapidly. 3 months after meeting, Yevgeny proposed to A, and she accepted. After the wedding, Asya moved out of her rented apartment and into Yevgeny's home, where he lived with his mother. This marked the beginning of a challenging phase. Asya's mother-in-law disliked her from the start. No matter what Asya did, it seemed wrong. Though her mother-in-law never said anything directly, her expressions spoke volumes. Asya endured it silently for Yevgeny's sake, as she loved him deeply. Meanwhile, her mother-in-law frequently criticized Yevgeny for choosing a worthless wife with no family or dowry. Yevgeny tried to defend Asya but ultimately agreed with his mother to avoid conflict or due to her strong influence. One day, Asya overheard her mother-in-law, Anna Dmitrievna, criticizing Yevgeny again. "How could you find someone like her? There are so many normal, worthy girls around, but you had to bring this misfit home, just to spite me." "Mom, please don't start again," Yevgeny tried to defend his wife. "Asya is a good girl, and we love each other. Isn't that what matters in a family? What love? She's a pauper and only married you because she had nowhere else to go. Of course, she used to pay for her own rent, and now she lives comfortably with all the conveniences. She's really made it," Anna Dmitrievna scoffed. "Mom, you're wrong. Asya earns well. We renovated the kitchen last year." "Yes, and Asya contributed part of the money for that renovation. And you get to travel twice a year thanks to her. So, according to you, we're the poor ones, and your wife is the benefactor supporting us? We could have gone on vacation without her," Anna Dmitrievna retorted. "Don't twist my words, please. I meant Asya finds good deals on trips. Why don't you like her? Why should I like her? Tell me that. Well, if not love, at least respect her. She takes care of me and you too. I can take care of myself and you as well," Anna Dmitrievna insisted. "Fine, Mom, I won't argue." Yevgeny gave up and went to the kitchen to see Asya. Asya was sitting by the window, crying. You heard everything, didn't you? Yevgeny asked his wife. What did I do to her? Is it my fault I have no family? Life dealt me a tough hand too. You can always talk to me. Yevgeny hugged and kissed his wife's temple. Please don't cry. It's just so hurtful. I try my best to please her, but it's never enough. No matter how hard I try, the result is the same. Yevgeny felt sorry for his wife but didn't want to argue with his mother. After all, there can be many wives, but only one mother, the closest relative. Besides, he thought, wives often cheat, but a mother never would. This situation persisted for 4 years. Asya grew accustomed to her mother-in-law's constant criticism and tried to ignore it. Today had been a hectic day at work. 6 months ago, she was promoted to department head, increasing her workload. After lunch, she received an unexpected and strange call. Hello, this is Asya, she answered. Hello, I'm looking for Anastasia Ivanovna Pavlova. May I speak with her? Yes, this is she. Who is this? A asked, surprised, as no one had used her maiden name in a long time. I am notary Igor Sergeyevich Petrenko. Could you come to our office? When would be convenient for you? What is this about? A asked, even more surprised. Come in, and we'll explain everything. An inheritance case has been opened in your name. You need to claim your rights. I'm sorry, I don't understand. I have no relatives. Anastasia Ivanovna, let's not discuss this over the phone. When can you come in? Is it even worth coming? Maybe I've just inherited a book? I wouldn't want to waste my time, A joked. No, this is a substantial inheritance. I think it's worth claiming. I'll send you our details via messenger. Alright, I'll come in on Friday around 11. Is that okay? Yes, that's fine. We'll be expecting you. Have a good day. Thank you, you too. Asya hung up the phone and pondered who could have left her an inheritance. She had no relatives. Those she had, her father and grandmother, were deceased. Her inheritance from them was a dilapidated village house, practically unsellable. She decided to tell Yevgeny everything that evening, ensuring her mother-in-law didn't overhear and start an interrogation or fabricate a non-existent lover to cause another rift. That evening, when Anna Dmitrievna visited her neighbor, they called Yevgeny to the kitchen. I need to tell you something and get your advice. I don't know how to say it. Asya, that's a long introduction. Get to the point, my hockey game is about to start, Yevgeny urged. Well, I got a call from a notary's office today. They said an inheritance has been left to me, and I need to go claim it. Can you believe it? Yevgeny stood up in surprise. What inheritance? From whom? That's the thing, I have no idea. I thought maybe they mixed me up with someone else. Who called you? The notary, of course. And what exactly did he say? That an inheritance case has been opened in my name, and I need to go to their office to claim it. Isn't that interesting? What's so interesting about it? I have no idea who could have left me anything. And by the way, if you accept an inheritance, you also inherit the deceased's debts. Maybe someone is trying to burden me with their debts? Asya speculated. Asya, what debts? Who would do that? Don't be silly. Listen. Or maybe you had relatives abroad and didn't know it? That happens sometimes. Maybe a distant uncle who lived alone his whole life decided to leave his fortune to a distant relative. That sounds like complete nonsense, to be honest, Asya said. Yevgeny, please don't tell your mom. She'll interrogate me, and I don't need that right now. Of course, I won't say anything for now. You can tell her later. When do you need to go to the notary? On Friday, the day after tomorrow. Tomorrow, I have a tax appointment and will likely be late. Great, not long until Friday. Alright, I'm going to watch hockey. Don't worry about it. Maybe the inheritance is substantial, and we can start our own business? No, it's better to buy an apartment and move away from your mother. What do you mean, move away? She's ill, I can't leave her. We agreed that I would live with her. How interesting. And why am I hearing this for the first time? We dreamed of having our own place, of having children. We did, but then I told my mother about it, and she had a heart attack. So, I promised we wouldn't move and would live with her. I see, nothing new here, Asya said, offended. I just don't understand why you got married. Let's not argue today. You know I can't leave my mom, she has no one else. We can buy her a cat or a dog so she won't be lonely and will have someone to care for. The problem can be solved if we address it. Asya said angrily and went to the bathroom. We've talked, Yevgeny concluded. On Friday, at the appointed time, Asya approached the notary's office building. She felt immense anxiety, as if her fate was being decided at that very moment. In a way, it was true, because receiving the inheritance would drastically change her life. But that would come later. For now, Asya opened the door and went to find the right office. Igor Sergeyevich Petrenko turned out to be a surprisingly young man, though his voice hadn't given that impression. Asya sat in the chair opposite the notary. I'm listening. Do you know Irina Ivanovna Pavlova? Asya was startled by the name. That's my mother. Yes, I know her. Who is she to you? The notary asked. She's my biological mother, Asya replied through gritted teeth. It was painful and unpleasant to talk about this woman. I understand that your relationship with her wasn't good, given your reaction to her name. She left me with my father and grandmother when I was only 8. What other feelings could I have for her, besides negative ones? All these years, she never visited or called me, not even on my birthday. It's hurtful, of course. But it's all in the past. She's no longer in this world. She left you a letter and a considerable inheritance as compensation. You should forgive her, at least because she has passed away. Asya looked at the notary in surprise. An inheritance from my mother? That's truly unexpected. I didn't even consider her when trying to figure out who could have left me an inheritance. Can I find out what exactly I'm inheriting? And can I refuse it in favor of someone else? Asya asked unexpectedly. Theoretically, yes, you can. But first, read the letter, and then we'll continue our conversation. He placed a sealed envelope in front of Asya. I'll leave you alone for a couple of minutes so you can read in peace. Alright, thank you. Asya held the envelope, hesitating whether to open it. Maybe I should just get up and leave, she thought. But since I'm already here, I should at least read my mother's final message. Not for forgiveness, but perhaps for understanding why she left me back then. Asya tore open the envelope and immediately smelled the fragrance of expensive perfume. She took out 2 sheets of paper and unfolded them. My dear Asya, by the time you read this letter, I will no longer be alive. This is my final message to you. I am deeply sorry for what I did, but I had no other choice. I no longer wanted to live the way we did with your father. I yearned for a different life, one that was vibrant, interesting, and diverse. Life in the village, where men only drank and women cared for children in the household, had become unbearable. I had lived like that since childhood, as had my parents, so I packed my things and left for Moscow. I couldn't take you with me right away, but I planned to come back for you, I truly did. In Moscow, I met a man who offered me a job abroad. I was young and foolish and eagerly accepted his offer. That's how I ended up in Turkey, in a terrible place. For 3 years, I lived in a nightmare. Never, do you hear me, never agree to a job without thoroughly examining all the documents and knowing exactly what you'll be doing. But I hope you never have to face such a situation. I left you a substantial inheritance that will secure your future and that of your children. After 3 years of hell, I was lucky enough to be bought by a Turkish sultan, as he was called. I lived with him for 2 years, and then he sold me to a very wealthy man in Spain. I was lucky again, this time greatly so. Because this wealthy gentleman fell in love with me and decided to marry me. He had never had a wife, children, or anyone else but me. He was old and very ill. He was more interested in care and companionship than anything else. For a year and a half, I cared for him, and then he died, leaving me an incredible inheritance. After his death, I inherited his fortune and continued to develop his business. Over the years, I managed to build a network of hotels not only in Spain but also in Portugal, Greece, and Turkey. You are the heir to a multi-million-dollar fortune and a thriving tourism business. Yes, I didn't come back for you as I planned, but I secured your future. I found out too late that I was ill and couldn't travel to Russia due to my health. That's why I'm writing you this letter, hoping that you will accept everything I've accumulated and maybe, one day, forgive me. There wasn't a day that I didn't think of you. The photographs of you that I took with me when I left home were the only things I always kept with me. Even the guards in Turkey didn't dare take them from me. But it was your photos that helped me survive everything I went through. They gave me the strength to endure my difficult journey and achieve what I ultimately did. If it weren't for you, I would have given up long ago. I know I was a bad mother. You have every right to hate me. But in the final moments of my life, I sincerely and wholeheartedly ask for your forgiveness. I love you with all my heart. May your life be blessed, and may you never have to run away from home. Though anything can happen in life. But now, you have a place to go. I made sure of that. Farewell, my beloved and only daughter, and please forgive me. Asya finished reading the letter, tears streaming down her cheeks. My poor mother. I could never have imagined what she went through. Yes, life didn't turn out as she wanted, but she never forgot about me. She unfolded another sheet of paper and saw a childhood photograph of herself, aged around 2, and cried even harder. The notary returned to the office and placed a glass of water in front of her. Are you all right? Was it a difficult message? He asked sympathetically. Yes, everything was completely different from what I had thought all these years, Asya replied. So, forgiveness is possible after all. You know, I'm not overly religious, but I believe in the power of forgiveness. It will make things easier for you. I have already forgiven her. Thank you for the advice, I'm ready to sign the papers. An hour later, Asya left the notary's office, now an incredibly wealthy woman. She felt almost frightened by her newfound wealth, as if everyone around her knew and was looking at her with envy. Asya called her husband. Yevgeny, are you sitting or standing? She asked excitedly. Sitting. Well, what did they tell you? Who left the inheritance? What did you get? I'm very rich now, Yevgeny, very rich. The inheritance came from my mother. Come on, you must be joking. No, I'm absolutely serious. I'll come home and tell you everything. Make sure to buy some champagne, we have something to celebrate. Asya, be a dear and at least give me a hint. I'm dying of curiosity, her husband pleaded. I'm now the owner of a chain of hotels in Spain, Portugal, and some other places I can't remember. Plus, there's a substantial amount in the bank. I'm getting in the car now, I still need to stop by the office. I'll tell you everything in detail this evening. Yevgeny hung up and looked at his mother, who had heard everything. Anna Dmitrievna smiled mysteriously and winked at her son. How interesting everything is turning out, she said softly. Very interesting and quite fortunate. Asya was on her way to the office but suddenly remembered she had left a folder at home. She had been so nervous all morning that she left it on the bedside table. So, she had to turn around and go back home. Asya parked the car at the entrance to the courtyard and quickly rushed into the building. As she reached her floor and entered the apartment, she overheard a conversation. "Mom, we can't do that, it's too much even for you," Yevgeny said. "Why not? Why should she get everything, and we get nothing? Don't you understand that she doesn't need you anymore? She'll file for divorce and move to her Spain, and you'll be stuck here regretting it. But that will be her decision." "Are you an idiot?" Anna Dmitrievna asked unexpectedly. "Why?" "Because I don't want to deceive my wife." "And how do you plan to deceive her? Pretend that I've been kidnapped by bandits who are demanding a ransom? Who in their right mind would believe that?" "Well, the kidnapping idea is actually not bad, but I have an even better one." "What if we declare her incompetent?" suggested the mother-in-law. Asya froze in shock. She never expected such a suggestion. "How would we do that?" Yevgeny asked, surprised. "It's quite simple. My friend used to be a pharmacist. She knows which medications can make a person inadequate and unaccountable. Then we'll send her to the hospital, get you appointed as her guardian, and that's it, the inheritance will be ours." Asya felt like she was in a nightmare, but this was no dream. She couldn't believe that someone would consider turning a person into an invalid for the sake of an inheritance. Yevgeny tried to reason with his mother. "Mom, isn't this going too far? If you want to live your whole life in this apartment on one salary, that's your choice. But I don't want that. I've lived paycheck to paycheck all my life, seeing nothing but home and work. Why can't I enjoy life now that there's an opportunity? But this isn't our opportunity or our money. Why do you think Asya will leave me? On the contrary, thanks to Asya, you can vacation in Spain as much as you want." Yevgeny continued trying to persuade his mother. "I don't want to be grateful to this girl for the rest of my life and bow down to her. Don't you understand that she will now take revenge on me for everything I've done? This is her chance to humiliate me and make me beg her for permission to vacation abroad." Asya stood frozen, barely breathing, afraid they would hear her. The silence seemed eternal, though it lasted only a few minutes. "Well," she heard her mother-in-law's commanding voice, "what's your decision? Are you with me or with her?" Asya already knew Yevgeny's choice. Tears welled up in her eyes, tears of hurt and disappointment. "Of course, I'm with you. I think you're wrong, though. If you think so, you should cross yourself. That's settled. I'll go consult with my neighbor, and you go to the store for champagne. Pretend everything is fine and that you're happy for her." Asya quietly left the apartment, not fully closing the door. As she descended the stairs, she bumped into a neighbor from the upper floor. The neighbor greeted her and asked if everything was all right, noticing the tears on Asya's cheeks. "I'm fine, thank you, Aunt Katya," Asya replied. She left the building and headed to her car, her mind racing with what to do next. She couldn't go home, and she needed advice from someone she could trust. She tried calling her friend Katya, but the phone was off. Without hesitation, she dialed Mikhail's number. A woman answered, and Asya hung up, thinking it was his wife. That's probably his wife. I don't want to cause any trouble, she thought. She tried Katya again, and this time, she answered. Hey, friend, Katya greeted. It's been a while since we talked. Hey. Can we meet today? But not at a cafe, I'll come to your place. Is that okay? Asya didn't want to go to a restaurant, she needed quiet and safety. Of course, that's much more convenient, Katya agreed. And if I stay overnight, you won't kick me out? Silly, of course not. Come over, I'll be waiting. I'll be home in a couple of hours. Asya stopped by the office, arranged her absence with her boss, gathered some belongings, and drove to Katya's house outside the city. Along the way, she stopped at a supermarket to buy some treats. Never visit someone empty-handed, her grandmother had always advised. It's impolite, and then they will visit you with gifts in return. Asya always followed this wise advice. As she approached Katya's house, Yevgeny called. Asya, where are you? Will you be home soon? Probably in the evening. What's up? Just wondering. I thought you'd be home earlier so we could celebrate. I have some urgent matters to attend to, I'll head home now. Asya hung up and turned off her phone. She knew she wouldn't go home that night and didn't want Yevgeny calling and asking where she was. She needed time to think and possibly make a difficult decision. Katya welcomed Asya warmly. They hadn't seen each other in person for a while, so the visit was long awaited and pleasant. You scared me a bit, to be honest. It's been so long since you last visited, and now here you are, Katya said, smiling as she hugged her friend and led her inside. Katya lived in a private house with her father and younger brother. Like Asya, Katya had dreamed of working in a travel agency, but her father's sudden illness forced her to abandon that plan. I can't tell you how happy I am to see you, Katya exclaimed. And you won't believe what I'm about to tell you, Asya replied. You'll be shocked. Are you pregnant? Katya guessed. Thank goodness, no. Why would you think that? I do love my husband. Or maybe not anymore. Is there something I don't know? Katya, you never change. You ask 153 questions a minute, I can't keep up, Asya laughed. Well, I'm curious, and I don't get out much. Alright, let's have a drink. I have something to celebrate. I think I know, you were promoted to manager. I was promoted to department head 6 months ago, remember? This is something else, something you'd never guess, even with your wild imagination. Okay, I give up. My imagination surrenders, Katya smiled. Asya told Katya about the inheritance and the overheard conversation. Katya listened in disbelief. Wow, that's insane. So, you're a millionaire now? That's amazing, Asya. I'm so happy for you. You'll get to see the world and travel. And you will too. I need someone reliable by my side. I'm considering you for the job. Asya, my dad is bedridden. I can't leave him, you know that. I understand, but we'll figure something out, I promise. Listen, my mother-in-law is a monster. She seems so nice on the outside, but she's terrible. And Yevgeny is spineless, he won't protect me. What are you going to do? It's not safe for you to go back there. I think I need to leave, quit my job and disappear. I can file for divorce from anywhere in the world. We have nothing to divide, no property, no children. Do you want to run away with me? Why not? If he's such an idiot, there's no reason to stay. I wanted to ask Mikhail for help. Remember, I told you about him? I called him, but a woman answered, probably his wife. I don't want to cause any trouble. Maybe it was his mom or sister. His mom passed away long ago, and his sister lives in another city with her husband. Maybe she's visiting. Let me try calling him. You think so? Absolutely. Katya confidently took the phone. Give me the number. Asya dictated the number, hoping Mikhail would answer. Mikhail was a great guy, simple, reliable, and a true friend. They had shared many adventures in school and gotten into trouble together. Mikhail always called Asya his buddy and treated her like a best friend. Asya remembered falling in love with him in 10th grade but never confessed her feelings. After graduation, Mikhail moved to the city with his family, and they lost touch. They bumped into each other once, and Mikhail gave Asya his number and invited her over, but she never visited. Hello, Asya heard a woman's voice again. Hello, may I speak with Mikhail? Katya asked politely. Who's calling? The woman asked. A friend, Katya replied simply. Sure, I'll get him. Katya handed the phone to Asya and shrugged, indicating that she wasn't sure who the woman was, but she didn't seem like a wife. Hello? Asya heard a familiar voice from her childhood, though it had changed significantly. Hi, Misha, she said simply. Asya, he recognized her immediately. Hi. How are you? How's life? I'm doing okay, just visiting a friend and reminiscing about childhood. I'm telling her about you. And how are you? I'm good, thanks. I'm so glad to hear from you. Asya covered the microphone with her hand and quietly asked Katya, are you two not related? Katya turned away and laughed. I'm doing all right. I'm actually at a friend's place, reminiscing about our childhood. I'm telling her about you. And how about you? I'm fine, just glad to hear your voice. Listen, I need your help or, rather, your advice, Asya said honestly. What happened? Where should I come? Misha asked, ready to help. No need to come anywhere, I'm in my car. Let's meet tomorrow, anytime, anywhere in the city, preferably in the northern part. When is convenient for you? Well, you tell me when, and I'll be there. Let's talk in the morning and decide. Is that okay? Of course. I'll wait for your call tomorrow. Just don't overdo it with Katya tonight, you have to drive tomorrow. I won't, don't worry. Katya listened to their conversation and smiled. He's so caring and attentive, a real man ready to help. Yes, Misha has always been like that, it's true. It seems like you said that with a hint of longing or regret. Like I missed him or regret something? Asya confessed, I was in love with him in high school but never told him. Maybe I should have. But it's too late now. We both have our own lives. Maybe it's not too late, Katya smiled. The next morning, Asya called Mikhail as planned. They decided to meet at noon in the Central Park. It was far from Asya's home, and there was no chance of accidentally running into her mother-in-law or husband. Asya had breakfast with her friend and left, promising to call after the meeting. Mikhail was waiting for Asya at the park entrance near the parking lot. Seeing his childhood friend, he walked towards her with a large bouquet of flowers. Hi, Asya, I'm so glad you called. He hugged her and kissed her on the cheek. Hi, Misha, I'm glad to see you too. Something happened, and I need legal advice. But not from a stranger, from someone I trust. You don't like lawyers? Mikhail smiled. Well, it's not that I don't like them, I just know how some of them work. What happened? How can I help? Mikhail asked, then looked around and added, let's sit somewhere, have coffee, and you can tell me everything. Who do I need to punch? Asya smiled. He hadn't changed much, still cheerful and ready to fight for her. Well, no need to punch anyone yet. The problem is serious, though. Let's sit over there, it'll be comfortable. They went to the cafe's outdoor seating area and sat in the farthest corner. The other tables were far away, and there weren't many people around, so Asya felt safe talking. After hearing about the inheritance and her mother-in-law's plan to eliminate Asya, Mikhail thought for a moment. And what's the problem? Do you and your husband have anything to divide? Any kids? No, nothing to divide, no kids. So what's stopping you from just leaving? Why go back to that house? To check if they'll poison you? Well, I need to quit my job properly, which means working for 2 more weeks. Where will I live during that time? Asya, you have money now. Rent a hotel room or an apartment and live comfortably. No, I can't do that. A hotel is not an option, and neither is renting an apartment. I'd have to rent it daily, and who knows who lived there before. I'm very particular about these things, so that's not an option either. Listen, why don't you stay with me? I have a big house, plenty of space, and I live alone, except for my housekeeper. And what about your dad? Dad is currently visiting an old army friend in Karelia, so you won't be bothered. There's one more problem, Asya hesitated. I need a bodyguard. A bodyguard? Why? Do you think my husband won't look for me at work? He definitely will. His mom will make sure he finds you and brings you home. She has plans for you. That's right. But this problem is also easily solved. I own a security agency, so you've come to the right place. Really? What a great job you've done, I'm proud of you. Asya fell silent and looked away. Why aren't you married? I haven't found the right woman yet. And I'm still young enough to choose. Or maybe I was waiting for you to get divorced. Which option do you prefer? Asya blushed and looked down, not saying anything. But she was pleased to hear such words from Mikhail. And she really liked the second option. So, it's decided. Let's go to my place. I just need to run some errands, I don't have any of my things with me. We can stop by your place if you have anything valuable left there. Don't worry, I can protect you. We should go there but avoid running into your mother-in-law. I have no desire to listen to another round of insults. I understand. Let's go shopping then. Shopping took about 2 hours, which surprised Mikhail. I thought women could spend hours in one department, but you've been to so many stores in such a short time. I don't like shopping, it's not my thing. If I'm being honest, I prefer going out into nature or watching a good movie. That's relaxation for me. But these huge crowds at the checkout. Ugh. Wow, that's unexpected. What do you like to do for fun and relaxation? I prefer going out into nature or watching a good movie. That's real relaxation. And those huge crowds at the checkout. Ugh. Asya, no wonder I always said you're one of the guys. Girls these days are so different. You know, with their fake eyelashes, nails, hair, and all that. I'm not into that. I am who I am, and I love myself too much to torture my body like that. You're amazing, I love you. Mikhail hugged and kissed his friend. Asya liked Mikhail's house very much. Everything was tastefully and stylishly done. It was clear that more than one designer had worked on it. You have a beautiful home and, I'm sure, a beautiful garden. Thank you, I tried my best. It shows, Asya smiled. I have to go to work early tomorrow. Can you arrange for the bodyguard? I've already called my deputy. I think I'll assign you to him. He's a man with combat experience, he won't let anyone harm you. Misha, that's too much. I just need someone to make sure I'm not taken away by force or something like that. I don't even know what to expect from my mother-in-law now. You need a professional, and I'll feel better knowing you're safe. Dima will be here at 6, and you can rest in your room until then. I'll take all your purchases there. At 6 o'clock sharp, Dmitri arrived. He was a short, stocky man, clearly dedicated to fitness. Mikhail introduced Asya to Dmitri and explained the situation. Dmitri was surprised. This is like something out of a movie. I never thought things like this happened in real life. Your life is about to change drastically, you know that? Not yet, but I'm starting to realize it, Asya smiled. Alright, listen. Tomorrow morning, you'll come here at 8. Asya needs to be at the office by 9. You'll stay with her the entire time she's at work, keeping her in your sight. After work, you'll bring her back here. Also, keep an eye out for any suspicious food deliveries, especially if they're delivered by a courier. Got it, Misha, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. What time do you usually finish work? Dmitri asked Asya. Around 7, but sometimes I stay later, Asya explained. And sometimes I need to run errands. No problem, wherever you need to go, we'll go. Agreed, thank you so much. Would you like to join us for dinner? Mikhail offered. No, thank you. I have some things to take care of tonight, I might not make it. I hope you have a good night, Asya. Thank you, you too, Asya replied. After Dmitry left, Asya asked Mikhail, why did he look at me so strangely? He's just a bit shy, don't worry about it. You know how guys can be sometimes. But he's a good man, I've known him for a long time. Alright, I'm going to bed. I have to get up early tomorrow. Good night, Asya. Get some rest. The next morning, Asya woke up to the smell of fresh coffee. Mikhail had been up for a while. He had prepared breakfast and set the table on the terrace. Good morning, Asya. How did you sleep? Good morning, Misha. I slept great, thank you. They had breakfast, and Mikhail drove Asya to work. Dmitry was already waiting for them at the office entrance. He greeted Asya and escorted her to her office. I'll be waiting for you here. If you need anything, just call me. Okay, thank you. Asya went into her office and sat down at her desk. The workday began as usual. During her lunch break, Asya went to the cafe in the office building. Dmitry, as agreed, was nearby. He sat at the next table and kept a close eye on the surroundings. Asya noticed how the women in the cafe were looking at him. He was indeed an attractive man. After lunch, Asya returned to the office and continued working. At 5 o'clock in the evening, Mikhail called. Asya, how's it going? Everything's fine, I'm working. I was thinking, maybe we could meet after work. Have dinner somewhere? Sure, I'd like that. Great, I'll pick you up at 7. See you then. At 7 o'clock, Mikhail picked up Asya. They had dinner at a restaurant and returned home. Asya took a shower and was about to go to bed when she heard a quiet knock at her door. Come in, she said. Mikhail entered the room. I just wanted to check if everything is okay and if you need anything. Everything's fine, thank you. I'm going to bed now. Good night, Asya. Sleep tight. Why is that strange? It's normal. How should a young man look at a beautiful young woman? He looked at me just like that. Come on, Sherlock Holmes, let's go eat, Mikhail smiled. In the morning, Dmitry arrived as planned. Today, he was dressed differently from yesterday. If yesterday he wore casual pants and a t-shirt, today he had on classic pants and a shirt. And he smelled incredibly nice. Asya always noticed the scent of the person she was talking to. Some people overdid it with perfume, making it unbearable to be near them, or they chose a fragrance with a sharp, nauseating smell. Dmitry's perfume was clearly from an expensive line and very refined. Asya enjoyed the scent all the way to the office. At one point, she even felt attracted to Dmitry, which was unusual and not typical for her. Asya always relied on reason and didn't understand spontaneous or fleeting connections. Arriving at work, she found out that her husband had come by yesterday. He was told that Asya had taken the day off and would be back today. Asya held her phone, wondering what to say to her husband. The conversation will happen anyway, but the question is in what tone and how it will end. Asya called Katya. Listen, I don't know how to tell Genya that I'm leaving him. Well, how about honestly and directly? Just tell him you overheard his conversation with his mother and that being part of their plans is not an option for you? Why not? Can he really behave so badly, and you can't honestly tell him about it? I think it would be more appropriate. Do you think you can imagine what will happen after you tell him that? What will happen? He'll tell his mother, and she'll be angry and try to figure out how to get you back and deceive you. Why are you even thinking about this? He made his choice, so why feel sorry for him? Katya, but we've shared a part of our lives. I loved him. It hurts that it turned out this way. So what? I understand it hurts. But you need to know how to end relationships and say goodbye, especially when there's nothing good left in them. If he wanted to save you, he wouldn't have agreed to his mother's plan. Or maybe he wouldn't have done anything. He told me everything, and we would have moved away from her. I don't know, we didn't even talk about it. Do you really think he would have taken your side? Katya was genuinely surprised. From what I remember of your stories about your married life, Genya always took his mother's side. And in this case, he would have acted differently. I don't believe it. Alright, I'll call you later. Okay. No matter how hard Asya tried to focus on work, she couldn't. Her mind was filled with thoughts of her husband and mother-in-law. She remembered the first time she visited their house and how her mother-in-law, Anna Dmitrievna, greeted her. Asya never saw anything good from her mother-in-law, only criticism and constant disapproval. Asya recalled how, 2 years ago, she gave Anna Dmitrievna earrings with a jade pendant that she had long dreamed of. In response, she received only a dry thank you and the same disapproving look. After that incident, Asya realized that no matter what she did, she wouldn't gain her mother-in-law's favor and gave up trying. Finishing her reminiscing, Asya finally decided and dialed her husband's number. Asya, where have you been? Mom and I were worried sick, Genya immediately snapped at her. Again, Mom and I, Asya thought. Katya is right. He'll never take my side. Hi, I'm fine. I'm an adult and quite independent. Are you coming home today? No. When then? Never, Asya said bluntly. A deafening silence followed. Asya didn't know what to say next, and Genya clearly didn't expect to hear that. What do you mean? He asked. Exactly what I said. I'm leaving you, Genya. You and your mother. I'm tired of all this. You made it clear that you'll stick by her side until her dying day. I'm sorry for the sarcasm, but your sick mother will outlive us all, and I'm not willing to endure her disapproval for that long. I want to live my own life, not constantly looking over my shoulder at her opinions and wishes. So, that's it then. You got rich and now think you can toss Genya aside. Mom was right, you only married me for the money. Oh, you idiot. Both you and your mother. And I, fool that I was, even doubted when people told me what you were like. I thought you could change, stand up for your wife. But no, I was wrong. You know what? I almost feel sorry for you. You'll never live a normal life as long as your mother is alive, doing what you want, not what she tells you. You're a pitiful person, Genya. Feel sorry for yourself, your mother abandoned you, Genya snapped, that was low and cruel. Asya was taken aback for a moment but quickly regained her composure. She always knew how to stand up for herself and respond to insults. Yes, my mother left to change my future, to make my life better. And what did your mother do for you? Ruined your marriage, trampled on your desires, and does whatever she wants in your life? Mothers are different, and so is their love. Some love their children even from a distance, while others ruin their children's lives with their love. I was lucky with my mother, but you weren't. Goodbye. Asya hung up and immediately blocked her husband. She had no desire to communicate with him again. She had already understood everything about him and made a decision she wouldn't change. Definitely not now. Throughout the day, Dmitri checked on Asya several times, asking if she was okay or if she needed anything. He showed an excessive amount of attention and care. But Asya didn't notice. After work, she planned to stop by a store, but the plans changed unexpectedly. Katya called and informed her that her father had passed away and needed help organizing the funeral. Asya was very worried about her friend. She knew how much Katya loved her father. Katya's relationship with her brother wasn't great, and now she had lost her closest person, just like Asya once had. That's why Asya empathized with her friend and understood her better than anyone. Dmitri, change of plans. We're going to Vishnevka. Asya, can we switch to Thai? We're almost peers, and I don't like this formality, Dmitri suggested. I don't mind, Tai is fine, Asya agreed. Organizing such a sad event requires a lot of strength and energy. Asya took on all the responsibilities because Katya didn't know what to do or where to go. Seeing her was heartbreaking, she seemed to have aged in an instant. Katya, I know no words can ease your pain right now, but you need to be strong. He's at peace now. He's suffered so much lately. Asya tried to comfort her friend. I know, but it's still hard, Katya cried. Asya left the room and called Mikhail. Misha, I'm sorry to burden you with my problems. Can I bring Katya over after the funeral? Of course, no problem. The house is big, there's enough room for everyone. I can imagine what she's going through. I buried my mother. Thank you so much, I really appreciate it. Don't mention it, it's all good. The next day, after the funeral, Asya helped Katya gather the necessary belongings and brought her to Mikhail's house. Dmitri helped the girls as much as he could. Asya was very grateful to him. Overall, he behaved strangely, paying too much attention to Asya, and Mikhail noticed it. Dima, are you trying to make a move on Asya? He asked his deputy when they went outside and were alone. Are you against it? Well, basically, yes. She's my woman. Since when? Since childhood. We've been friends since we were kids, and I've been in love with her ever since. Do you think I'll miss the chance to be with her now? Interesting. If you love her, why did she marry someone else? Circumstances. And now, when she's a rich heiress, you think you can marry her? Dmitri asked, squinting. What are you talking about? I don't care about her inheritance, I make good money myself. Sure, you do. If that's the case, let Asya decide who she wants to be with, you or me. Remember, Dima, I won't let anyone harm her. You're just her bodyguard, nothing more, so back off, or I'll make you. She won't be yours. We'll see about that. In the evening, Dmitri left. Katya went to her room. Asya and Mikhail stayed on the veranda, drinking tea. It's so nice here, Asya said. Quiet, peaceful, and cozy. Then stay here. What do you mean? I am here, Asya didn't understand. No, stay here forever, Mikhail said. Asya looked at him in surprise. What do you mean? I want you to be with me. Always. In this house. But I need to go to Spain to the head office. I have a big business now, and someone needs to manage it. We can hire a manager, it's not a problem. Misha, I don't understand what you want. Asya tried to get Mikhail to say more than he had, but he either hesitated or feared rejection. Asya, I think you understand. What I understand is one thing, but what you think is entirely different. Not now. Asya was surprised why Mikhail suddenly changed his mind when he started the conversation. Perhaps he was just concerned for her as a friend, not in the way Asya hoped. Asya mused, why do people say women have strange logic, as she thought, stay here forever, understanding nothing. Meanwhile, Mikhail was contemplating how to beautifully propose to Asya. That morning, Dmitri arrived to drive Asya to the office. Unlike his usual chatty self, he remained silent during the ride. Is everything okay? Asya asked. You seem upset. Dmitri wore a deeply sad expression and said, sometimes, life presents situations where you don't know what to do. Have you ever felt that way? A few times, Asya replied. But it depends on the context. Is it about work? No, it's more about personal life, though work is involved too. Maybe I can help with advice? Asya offered, immediately regretting it. You can, Dmitri said, abruptly pulling over. Asya, I fell in love with you the moment I saw you. You're the kind of woman I've always dreamed of. But Misha, my friend and boss, told me to stay away because he has plans for you. He said he wouldn't have noticed you before, but now that you're a wealthy heiress, he wants to marry you. Asya was stunned, unable to believe what she was hearing. She knew Misha since childhood and couldn't fathom such a drastic change. She looked at Dmitri with contempt. You know, I rarely say mean things, but sometimes people deserve it, she said, her anger rising. I don't have many close people left, just Misha and Katya. When someone speaks ill of those I love and trust, it infuriates me. You're a shameless, selfish jerk, and I will tell Misha everything you said. She exited the car, slamming the door, and hailed a taxi to the office. At the office, her ex-husband, Yevgeny, was waiting, trying to force her into his car. The security guard intervened, and Asya called Mikhail to explain the situation. That jerk. I knew he'd try something like this, Mikhail said. We talked yesterday, and he hinted he'd fight for you by any means. Asya managed to resolve the issue with management by offering the director a discount on a Spanish vacation. She handed over her duties, packed her things, and said her goodbyes. Mikhail arrived, and they left for a mysterious destination. Where are we going? Asya asked. It's a surprise, Mikhail replied. They arrived at an estate, and Mikhail led her to a beautiful lawn with a table set with flowers, champagne, and fruits. He knelt down and proposed, My dear Asya, I've loved you since childhood but was too shy to confess. I'm sorry it took so long. Will you marry me? He presented a ring identical to one Asya had shown him years ago. Tears welled up in her eyes. You remembered? She asked. Of course, he replied. She kissed him, and they celebrated their engagement. The next day, Asya finalized her divorce with Yevgeny, who reluctantly agreed. Afterward, she and Mikhail retrieved her belongings from Yevgeny's home. They married and toured their inherited properties, amazed by the scale of their new wealth. They decided Katya from Spain would manage the properties, allowing Asya to stay in Russia with Mikhail, especially since she would soon be unable to fly due to pregnancy. Asya and Mikhail were excited about their future together, grateful for the unexpected inheritance that brought them closer.